That's where nationalisation needs to come in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, forget it. Fine. Just carry on.
And so, look, there's...
Breaking right now, growing fears for GB News star presenter Eamonn Holmes after he collapsed off a chair live on air this morning. I'll show you that astonishing footage in just one moment and get reaction from Father Calvin Robinson, another former GB News star. However, let me start with my own reporting on this, and it's very concerning stuff. I'm told that there have been a number of so-called medical emergencies while Eamonn has been broadcasting live on GB News, presenting alongside Ellie Costello on The Breakfast Show in recent months. He at times has had to be removed from the studio because of these medical emergencies, not always able to return. I'm told that bosses are trying to play down his declining health because they want him to continue broadcasting. However, there have also been occasions where he has fallen asleep on air recently, and there are growing concerns from senior producers at the channel that the current position is not sustainable. Now, of course, I have great concerns over what's going on with Eamonn Holmes. He was a close colleague of mine, and unfortunately, and some people are laughing about this and treating it as a joke, but I think what happened on air today, there were echoes of what was going on with Joe Biden in his last years in the White House. Watch this.
That's where nationalisation needs to come in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, forget it. Fine. Just carry on.
And so, look, there's...
He obviously wasn't fine. They cut straight to an ad break. I know that's a short clip. There's a lot to take in, so I'll let you watch it once more.
That's where nationalisation needs to come in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, forget it. Fine. Just carry on.
And so, look, there's...
So that's what you call an emergency ad break, where the people in the gallery are just so concerned about what they've seen happen that they just crash out of the bulletin. Now, GB News was off air for 6 minutes, which means at least double the time of a normal ad break. But then Eamonn Holmes did return and seemed all right. Watch.
Welcome back. Good to see you again, especially good for me to see you again. I am still alive, yes. And they're very wonky wheels on chairs that we've got here. As a matter of fact, we don't really like the chairs full stop, do we?
They're a bit slippy and slidey, aren't they?
They're a bit slippy and slidey, and I've slipped and slid off mine there. Not the first guest to have done so. We've had a few. They have to remain nameless because they're well-known people, but they've hit the floor really badly, quite frightening, and it was a bit of a shock for me because I've had a fall in my bathroom 2 weeks ago, which hospitalised me, and that hit me again right in the back, and really sore.
You okay?
Don't know if it all works or not, but we'll find out. Anyway, Charlie Riley believes that it was some government agent.
I mean, bless him for going on. But Father Calvin Robinson, this is difficult to watch. I mean, a couple of thoughts from me on this, and I'm sure you agree with me on the first point. There is a serious health and safety concern at GB News with their chairs in the studio. It actually astonishes me that this channel has now been on air for how long, Father Calvin? I mean, we were there at the start, must be coming up to 4 years, and they still have not purchased chairs that don't break. I mean, honestly, there were times that I was like literally sitting on these chairs and they were collapsing while I was on air. So there's a health and safety issue with that. But isn't it quite worrying, Father Calvin, that there have now been these multiple medical emergencies involving Eamonn Holmes within the studio? Is it responsible to keep him on air, do you think?
Well, firstly, well played to Eamonn. He, the staunch professional.
Yes.
There, and you could tell he was clearly in pain, but he was soldiering
and he just
on.
said, keep going. But they didn't because it had been such a catastrophic fall.
Right. The person who was speaking when Eamonn fell, he clearly couldn't go on.
Charlie Rowley, he was very shaken up by it. Sorry, Father.
No, not at all. There are 2 points here. The first point is there's an element of potential negligence here because the equipment that they have is so cheap and shoddy, and it has been so for 4 years. And we were complaining about it when it first launched. And so if these shoddy chairs are still there all this time later, and/or they've replaced them with even worse ones, that people are falling off, guests and presenters are falling off on air, that's not good. So the management need to get their act together. And secondly, look, if there's a health concern here, a continued raising of awareness of a serious well-being issue, someone needs to be taking care of Eamonn's well-being. And I know that the system there they have in place is not good. I won't mention any names because it's not fair on the people, but there's history of this. There's another well-established, very good presenter who was clearly going through mental health issues, and the management would just continue to push this person on air and continue to milk them for all they're worth when they were clearly going through something and needed to be spending time with their family and not being pushed on air.
Father, I mean, it keeps happening. I mean, again, I won't name this person out of respect for their addiction, but this person within the past few months had still been presenting on air incredibly and obviously drunk and very visibly drunk to all of the people who were at the behind the scenes and at the channel. I find it extraordinary that they're prepared to take these risks, especially, by the way, after the incredibly brutal treatment of yourself and Lawrence Fox and myself. You know, why would they allow then people to go on air drunk? It's very disturbing. But first, we've partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true. Not some weird, trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. You're probably used to cooking with it, but there are countless ways to use olive oil to help yourself look and feel younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert, and health advocate, you should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible, whether it's taking a shot of it daily or keeping a bottle of it in your bathroom medicine cabinet. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefits, but if you're looking to get the best results, it matters a lot which one you pick. The olive oil industry is huge. You can tell by the number of olive oil brands you see at the grocery store, and you can bet they're not all made with the consumer in mind, and many brands may even cut corners one way or another to increase profits. When Dr. Gundry came to this realization, he was appalled. But some olive oils are so powerful, it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. So how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster and which one isn't up to par? In an effort to answer that important question, Dr. Gundry has decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. The video has gone viral since its release, and it's important you see it so you can start benefiting immediately. You can watch the video right now by going to getolive1.com/outspoken or by clicking the link in the description box below. So that's getolive1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. People who have taken his advice have shared their results with him, saying the olive oil they bought after learning his simple rules has helped change their lives. So make sure you go to getolive1.com/outspoken or click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show.
Yeah, someone to go on air drunk, someone to go on air clearly going through mental incapacities, and someone going on air who's clearly going through physical incapacities. It's not good. It's all a sign of bad management. There's some really, really bad management over there in that they care more about the channel and the shows than they do about the people. They're not investing in the people, and that's sad to see, and it is negligent, and I hope something happens there that they are held accountable.
Well, indeed, and obviously I hope Eamonn Holmes is all right and he is able to go on. But the thing is, if you've got someone with that degree of physical incapacity, at the very least, you've got to make sure that he's not on a chair which is going to collapse under him. Now, at the same time, Father Kelvin, this comes as GB News is finally, and I actually argue, and I know we discussed this with Mark Stein, didn't we, on the cruise, on the Mark Stein Freedom Cruise recently, and actually very excited to say, Father Calvin, my interview, my exclusive one-on-one with Mark Stein is going to be available very soon. First on my Substack, actually, www.outspoken.live. Subscribers will receive it. It's a bombshell interview, actually, because let me just give you a taster. Mark Stein said that he believed GB News really was trying to kill him. So this is a very dramatic interview. You can sign up to get it first, www.outspoken.live. But GB News finally hitting back against the off-communists, and it's the owner, Sir Paul Marshall, who is doing this. Let me take you through what the Telegraph has reported on this. It's in regards to a speech last night. Ofcom is unfairly punishing GB News under pressure from left-wing activists, the broadcaster co-owner has said. Sir Paul Marshall accused the regulator of unfairly targeting the startup broadcaster with a string of investigations as it struggles to fend off an onslaught of complaints from pressure groups such as Stop Funding Hate. In a speech at Oxford University on Tuesday evening, the media tycoon was expected to say, and I believe he did say, understandably, Ofcom find it difficult, just like other corporate and institutional boards, to resist the pressures from left-wing campaigning groups, and this has led them to initiate many more inquiries into GB News than could be justified. Ofcom has found GB News in breach of broadcasting rules a dozen times since its launch in 2021, taking issue with alleged misinformation and its use of politicians as presenters. Sir Paul, a hedge fund tycoon who co-owns GB News alongside Dubai-based investment firm Legatum, has argued that many of the investigations against the channel stem from complaints orchestrated by campaign groups. Well, I would argue, Father Calvin, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, the whole issue with Lawrence Fox saying he didn't want to shag Ava Santita, that was all driven by Carol Vorderman and hard lefties, but they totally capitulated. They totally capitulated over Mark Stein and his campaigning against the COVID vaccine. So is it not just too little too late now?
Absolutely. It was demonstrable. We could see Carol Vorderman's campaign. She raised about 8,000 complaints from her followers to Ofcom about Lawrence being on your show and what he said. And that whole situation was a woke mob, a woke bandwagon that many people jumped on. And unfortunately, the management at GB News capitulated. But I don't think Sir Paul Marshall is being brave here, speaking out 4 years later in terms of Ofcom's heavy-handedness and bias against GB News. I think the management have been made aware of this from the beginning. They've just been too cowardly to admit it publicly. But Sir Paul Marshall is doing so now because it's affecting his vested interests. GB News is dumping money down the drain. What is it, £160 million so far? In the red. It cannot continue to survive this way. And while Sir Paul Marshall is trying to grow his media conglomerate in the UK and become the right-wing Rupert Murdoch, it will affect his bottom line. And so he has to do or say something. If the management won't, he has to. He's a board member. He shouldn't be speaking out on these issues. But that just shows how bad things are getting.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth saying, by the way, Carol Vorderman uses coordinated social media groups to attack at the same time, like Stop Funding Hate does. They should have been totally aware of this. And what I just find so unsavory is the way that they fed us to the Ofcom wolves, thinking that they would have their hunger satisfied. When I knew, because I was campaigning behind the scenes to protect Mark Stein, because I knew it was the beginning of the end. I knew as soon as they capitulated, it was over. And look, if GB News has stood firm, it's like, bring it on. What are you really, Ofcom, going to take us off air? And by the way, if you do, isn't that the best publicity? Wouldn't that have been the best publicity GB News had ever had? And they could have been at the forefront of this revolution on YouTube and Rumble, for example, where, thank God, at this point, Father Calvin, I am not regulated by the off-communists, although, my God, the government wants to change that. But the point is, GB News is now sort of playing in an old media world, which we've all turned off anyway. I mean, if I want my news, I'm going to YouTube. I'm going to X.
Well, as
I'm
the
listening to a
Telegraph pointed out, you're
podcast.
taking over YouTube, Dan.
The alt-right takeover, right?
And I stand by my words that got me fired, that you can't call yourself the home of free speech and cancel people for saying something legal but offensive. And that's the tact that GB News took, unfortunately. They could have become something different. They could have become the alternative voice, but they wanted to play the establishment game. I have the same issue with GB News that I have with Nigel Farage, actually. I want people to break through that establishment, not want to become a part of it. And otherwise, what's the point?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, got to give credit, by the way, to Charlotte Gill, who used to be a very talented producer at GB News. She was also treated appallingly by them. And she's now doing a deep dive into people like Carol Vorderman and these left-wing groups, into how they all operate in lockstep to cause hysteria on social media. But GB News should have been aware of that. By the way, it hasn't been a great day for our legacy news operations, because while that Eamonn Holmes incident was taking place, look at the unprofessional idiots at Sly News.
Rachel Reeves, who's been speaking about the inflation data.
The numbers today are clearly disappointing. We want to see inflation coming down after the cost of living challenges that people have been through this last few years.
I don't see any problem with that, Dan.
Yeah, and he did end up... Oh, there we go.
I think we've got a problem there with the sound again.
No, I mean, it's an improvement, isn't it, Father Calvin? Hearing her sound like a chipmunk.
I think, to me, that's how she always sounds. I don't see any issues with that clip whatsoever. What was going on? What was the problem? But, I mean, no, that was every day for us at GB News, wasn't it? So it's funny to see it happening at Sly as well.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.